Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome back to Stock Up with Larry Jones. It's Sunday. You guys know I do my inspiration, but we're going to give a brief market update. Our prayers go out to all of the good people in Lahaina, Maui, on the Lahaina side of the island. I love that place. It's actually one of my favorite places in the world. We'll get back to that as part of my inspiration. But we were praying. Over 100 people perished, just the wildfires, and then of course the hurricane winds that made it even worse. So we're praying, hopefully the government steps in and does the right thing. If we could send billions of dollars to a foreign country, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't, to help them with war, charity starts at home. So surely we could send the money needed. I think they're up to about 5 billion that's needed, somewhere in the area of 5 to 7 billion that's needed. Then surely we could help our own. Okay, Mr. Government. All right. So let's get right into it. So of course, we know that all of this inflation data has come out now, right? We had we had CPI that came out first. Consumer Price Index came out on a Thursday rather than a Wednesday, which was interesting because it always comes out on a Wednesday, an hour before the market opens. Everything was in line with the exception of one line item that actually came in a little less month over month. It was expected to be higher and it came over a little lower. All right, so the market rallied on that. Now, I believe that the market over rallied. That's just me. And so the next day, PPI comes out. Producers Price Index, CPI, Consumer Price Index, PPI, Producers Price Index. It's just a gauge that measures the rate of change in goods and services that we consume, Consumer Price Index, and Producers Price Index. Of course, things have to be produced before they're consumed. And it just measures inflation. It gives us a snapshot to see, is inflation slowing down? Now, inflation is not low and it hasn't been falling like a rock, but the rate of change of inflation is cooling off. So just keep that in mind. Inflation is still high, but the rate of change is slowing down, okay? But you and I don't feel that when we go to the gas pump. We don't feel that when we go to the grocery store, when we're trying to buy a carton of eggs, gallon of milk, gallon of gas, what we're paying to heat and cool our houses. We don't feel that just yet. So it's quite interesting that it's showing that it's cooling off, but our bank accounts are still on fire. And so I'm just going to leave it right there. I expect that it's crazy that we're in a cool off right now, because generally this month is one of the worst months, not the worst month, but it's one of the worst months for trading and has been for decades, right? But it's followed by one of the best months. So July is one of the best months for the stock market, and August is one of the worst months for the stocks, okay? So this is expected already. So now we could have, I believe, what's a 10% cool off. We could have up to a 10% cool off, though I don't expect it to cool off more than 10%. And then what I think is going to happen at the end of the year, or what could happen at the end of the year, given the data now, is we could end the year higher. So this is just a cool off, right? And so no need to panic sell for long positions. No need to FOMO into plays, okay? And so let's just keep things in perspective. Let's see how next week is, because the week that just passed with all the inflation data coming out, it's not the real deal. And I think that the market needs time to decipher all of this data. So now I believe that the reality of where the market is will set in next week. Of course, we have the downgrade by Finch, and then we have the downgrade of the banking system now. So all of this stuff, they're going to look for negative stuff to talk about while the market is cooling off. all of the news medias. And then when the market is going up, they look for all of the positive stuff to talk about. We here, what do? We trade the market that we're in. Now, I'm going to tell all of you guys that have taken the class that I just uploaded an hour's worth of classes, a whole chapter. I believe I called it Larry's Momentum Option Trading. If you haven't looked into your account in the last couple of days, it was uploaded Saturday night. You already paid for the class. You get all of this free. If you know nothing about options, you will. I literally explain it to where anybody can understand it. So that's going to be the top link below, Stock Up You. And then right under that, I use the Webull app for all of my options trading. So I want you guys that don't have it, I don't care if you have Moo, Robinhood, and all of this, I want you to download Webull and make sure you put $100 minimum in that if you want to follow a lot of the plays that I have with options. Now, I did a trade, all of my options trading that I did on Friday, I shared with you. I explain what an option is. I break it all down and I literally give you blow by blow, but it wasn't live. So I don't come to the class and give you live trades. I teach you by showing you how I traded live. Now you could take that information and you could trade from here on out. So I teach you how to fish and don't just give you fish. I teach you how to fish. And so now you could make money from here on out, especially if you have a hard time understanding options. It is in the class now, okay? All right, so the class will be the top link. And then the second link I want you to download is Webull, okay? And get that funded because it's going to give you 12 free stocks, but not just for the free stuff. Learn options trading, okay? The basics of it for those of you that really don't know it. All right, let's get into what I wanted to talk about briefly as far as inspiration. So there's a tree in Lahaina, or should I say Maui, on the Lahaina side, and I think it's called a bandy tree. Now, I've been to Maui probably 5 times. And it's the only place that I could go and truly unplug. And it is my favorite place in the world, Maui. I love it. But there's a tree there, and that tree is over 150 years old. And you literally see cars that are literally melted to the ground. People were trying to flee the fires. It reminds me of the Chicago fire. And they couldn't, and they had to, unfortunately, some of them had to literally jump into the ocean to escape fire and death. And but on that side of the island, one of the things that survived was this tree. The first thing I thought about when I saw the fires is, of course, no loss of life, number one. And number two, did the tree survive? You can rebuild houses. You can't rebuild a 150-year-old tree. I guarantee you, and if you've seen the tree and you know the tree that I'm talking about, leave a comment. I guarantee you, you've never seen a tree like this in your life. I believe that the tree was imported from India and it was only 7 feet tall. You have never seen a tree like this. You have never seen roots like this tree. This tree is something, I dare you to Google it. But I will tell you what's significant about that tree. It has deep roots. It's on a firm foundation. It withheld the windstorms over 80 miles an hour winds. It just endured, still standing. It endured the fire, still standing. Cars burnt, houses burnt. That tree is still standing. And I want us all to adopt some of the attributes of this tree. And what I want to tell you guys is, while we're doing all of this swing trading and all of this, build a firm foundation, because the stock that you're going to leave your kids are the blue chip companies with great evaluations. Those are the ones that are going to withstand the time, that have money to last through a recession, a correction, or a crash. Just know that you need to build on a firm foundation. Now let's move it to our lives. How are we living? Are we a tree that is deeply rooted in our faith? I'm deeply rooted in my faith. I'm not letting anything shake me. The winds come. I don't care what the world say. I don't care what the world say is okay. The good book says in the last days that good shall be known as evil and evil is known as good. So they're just saying that everything is evil. So it's cool now. It's because that's what day it is. So I'm not going to be shaken. My tree roots are deep. My relationships are deep. They're solid. The way I love is deep. I love my family. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love you guys. That's not going to change. I'm like that tree. And so I'm asking you, what are you deep rooted in? What are some of the things that are just firm foundation that you built on a solid ground, not on sand, but you are deeply rooted, that's going to withstand the winds of time, that's going to withstand hurricanes, earthquakes, fires, thunderstorms? What are we rooted in? Because in these last days, a lot of people are not deeply rooted in anything. And the truth be told, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's the truth. And so I'm deeply rooted in who I am, what my purpose is as far as serving you guys, and who I am as an individual, and who I am to my family and my community. Make sure your investments are deeply rooted. And if you're doing options, if you're new, your options should only be 1%, just 1% of your overall should I say your overall portfolio. Only 1% if you're brand new. And if you're skilled, you shouldn't be doing options with more than really 5 to 10%. 10% if you're good, but 5% if you're okay. That's what I'm going to suggest to you guys. But I'm going to suggest to you guys that should have half of your portfolio just should be in the S&P or the overall stock market. Those are trees with deep roots, okay? So that's what I'm going to leave you with today, good people. And make sure you check out the links below. Number one, the class. If there's things that you need to know and you keep losing money, I rarely talk about the classes on weekend, but you need to take the class because it's going to make you money instantly, okay? Number two, the trading platform that I'm using for options is Webull. That's the second link below in this video. Make sure and do a double check on yourself. Let's do self checkups. What are we deeply rooted in? What do we have that are firm, that's going to withstand the fires, the storms, the everything? Is it your marriage? Is it your relationships? Fathers, is it your relationships with your kids? Lord knows that I went through a horrible divorce, but I made sure I was deeply rooted in my relationship with my two daughters. I didn't have any sons. And I made sure that relationship was deeply rooted. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned from nature. And so I know they're going to rebuild Lahaina, and I will get back there. It's just going to be rebuilt better. And I just took a lot away from that tree. Right. All right, good people. I love you guys. Live, love, laugh, and learn. We'll see you later.